We're live. Hey, what's going on, guys? Coach Bronson here. I think this is actually the first actual members only live that we're doing. And I just realized that I'm talking without my headset on. So if you've heard anything that I said, I'm going to do it over again. Hold on. I forgot that this was plugged in. It's a little noisy out here right now. I got an air conditioner right next to me. I got Coach Nat in the other room on her call. So just in case there's any overlap, I'll say that all over again. I think this is the first live for members only. This is cool. All right. So basically what we're doing is every month I'm going to get on here. We're going to ramble for 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes. We'll see how long it goes about some kind of topic, something that either been brought up in conversation with a client or one of you guys, seeing it in the Facebook group, on a comment somewhere, whatever it may be. There's always new questions and new content ideas that are popping up from just all the stuff that I'm doing all the time. So one of the things that has come up recently is a lot of new people getting started with fitness, trying to figure out how hard should they go. There's two sides of that coin of intensity. Let's just talk about intensity. There's two sides of the coin. Are you going hard enough to actually see changes, or are you going too hard to where you're going to hurt yourself potentially or overtrain and not see the benefits of the exercise because you're doing too much, right? Too much of a good thing. Okay. So let's talk about, like, how do you figure out what the right intensity for you is and work through that, because it's going to change. Things are going to get easy, then hard, then easy, then hard. And there's a whole bunch of, it is an up and down roller coaster. And the number one thing to remember when it comes to identifying where your intensity should be is you have to pay attention to your body and how you feel. Okay. In the grand scheme of things are going to be hard, then they're going to get easy, then you make them hard, then they get easy, then you make them hard. So in the grand scheme of things, it is an undulating pattern of hard to easy, back down to hard, hard to easy, back down to hard, right? You go up the hill, then you go down the hill, then you got to go up another hill, okay? And that's the big picture scope, okay? But then you also have to understand that in the microcosm of your life, the daily things that happen, there may be a day in that period. Maybe you're in a period where things are getting easy. You're feeling really good about stuff, but you have a bad night of sleep. You go to the gym and you're just like, this is not happening today. And you have to realize that in that moment, even if the big picture stuff is you're on the easy curve, in that moment, you're at a hard spot and you need to listen to your body. And maybe that's a day where you take it easy and you just kind of scale it down a little bit. Okay. So the key to this whole process is listening to your body and understanding where you are and where you're trying to go, and being willing to adjust to what's going to work best for you. Just like nutrition, just like all the other things we talk about, adjust to what's going to work for you. The decisions you make have to be with the picture in mind of where you're trying to go. Okay? No ego. No, I have to follow the plan just because it's the plan. No, none of that stuff, right? And there's no such thing as no pain, no gain, right? None of that stuff applies, okay? Effective workouts, effective exercise, effective physical activity to help improve your function doesn't have to kill you every time. It should be challenging. It may cause some soreness and discomfort, but it should not hurt, and it should down. Okay. Keep this in mind. Okay. That's the things to remember. Now, when we're talking about the process of actually identifying how hard you're working, we need to know something first. Okay. I'm assuming we're going to make the assumption that you're following a plan, that there's something you're following that says, here's the workout that you're doing. Okay. And we're going to use my program as an example of that. In my program, I give you what your target is. And that's the biggest thing. You need to learn how to identify the target of the workout. Is this workout intended to be a strength maximum effort workout? Is this workout intended to be a get my heart rate up, I'm sweating, I'm gasping for breath, and it's metabolic conditioning type thing that is for 100% effort for 5 minutes? Or is it something that's lower effort, like chill out? I should be able to talk and have a conversation while I'm moving, but I'm going to do it for 40 minutes. Okay. Every workout has a different target. So you need to learn what that target is. That's step number one. Okay. Outside of listening to your body and being aware and self-aware of what's going on with yourself, the first step in the process is knowing what the target is. So a couple of rules of thumb. Okay. A couple of rules of thumb to remember when it comes to identifying the target. The longer the workout, usually that means the intensity, overall intensity is lower. Okay. The shorter the workout, usually that means the overall intensity is higher. Okay. What that means, for example, is if I'm doing a max effort lift, if I say I want you to find a 1 rep max that is as heavy as possible, okay, short work, it's only 1 rep, it's short work, and it's going to be as absolutely intense as it can possibly be, okay, versus I want you to find something that's 20 reps for a challenging 20 rep. Okay, something, it may not even be your max, but I want you to get something today that's a challenge for you to complete 20 reps of a back squat. Okay, so you're doing 20 reps. That's going to take a lot longer. The weight for that is going to be way less, like 50% less than that single rep, 1 rep max. Okay, so the overall intensity, it's going to take you longer to do 20 reps than it's going to take you to do 1 rep. It's going to be a much lighter weight to do 20 reps than to do 1 rep. Okay, so there's another example. I want you to do as many burpees as possible in 5 minutes. Okay, I want you to do as many burpees as possible in 5 minutes, or I want you to do 30 burpees as fast as possible. You have 10 minutes or 7 minutes to get it done. Right? That's high intensity. You're moving your body, you're moving fast, you're trying to get that thing done as fast as possible. Okay? Versus I want you to run for 25 minutes, and however far you get is however far you get. Okay? So I'm running for 20 minutes. That's not anywhere near as intense as trying to knock out 30 burpees as fast as possible. So again, the difference, shorter time, higher intensity. You're going at the end of the burpees, you're going to be gassed, laying on the floor, gasping for air and wanting to crawl home. Okay. On the other one, you run for 20, 25 minutes and you may be tired, you may be worn out, but you're not going to be anywhere near that level of intensity or exhaustion as you would for that burpee workout. Okay. So that's the difference. Understanding that basic principle, the longer something is, the less intense, the shorter something is, the more intense it is. Okay. And then you have to compare. Is this a cardio thing? Is this a metabolic conditioning? Is it a strength thing? Is it endurance? Is it a stamina? What are the things that are being worked? Okay. So that's your first general rule of thumb is short and hard, long and slow. Okay. Long and easy. Okay. The other part of identifying the target is it a complex movement or is it a simple movement? Because that's going to affect what we talk about next with intensity and your ability to move and do the movement. Okay. So if you're trying to evaluate, am I working hard enough? You have to understand that sometimes, okay, this goes to the target again. Sometimes the target of the work is more about how well you move than how much you sweat. Okay. That has to be something you understand because no matter what you're doing, and I'll tell you this right now, even if you get to a workout that is designed to make you sweat and work really hard and just gas yourself out, and it's metabolic conditioning, it's strength, it's all the things. It's the most craziest workout in the world. If you're not moving properly, then you're going to miss that stimulus because you're not affecting your body the way the movements are intended to affect your body. Okay. So if you get the craziest, most intense workout in the world and you focus on moving properly, if that's where your progression is at, if you're just getting started and your focus is on, I need to learn how to put my arm overhead the right way. I need to learn how to bend at my waist properly. I need to learn how to squat without my knees collapsing. Okay. Things like that. Then you're going to miss the intent of that workout, and that's okay. Okay. This is where it gets really funky sometimes, is you have to understand that movement comes first. So if you get to exercise, you identify, you've got some practice at this, you've been doing it for a while, you realize, hey, this is a shorter workout, it's more intense, I'm supposed to go a little heavier and work a little harder, and it's really going to gas me. But the movement is more complex than I'm ready to handle. So I have to slow it down and focus on my movement first. Slow down, less weight, movement is critical before I can get to that level of intensity. So as a beginner, your movement is oftentimes, your movement is often going to be a limiting factor in getting to the actual target of the workout. There may be times as a beginner where the workout is here, but your movement will only let you get here. Okay. And that's okay. For you, that is the degree of intensity. Okay. Because your experience, your needs at that time are movement more than intensity. Okay. So that means for you, you are getting the stimulus that you need by moving properly. Okay. Again, this is one of those things where understanding where you're at really plays a role. I don't care what the written workout says to do. If you're not ready for that, don't do it. Okay. If you're in my program, I give options. If you're not sure about the options, then ask, and I'll give you what those options are. So one of the examples is get-ups. If we have get-ups in there, I think in most of the instances I put Turkish get-ups, and then I put half Turkish get-ups as an option, at least the video, so you know if you're not ready for the full thing, here's an option that modifies the movement so you still get trained in the movement execution, but it's not as complex and you don't go as hard. Okay. Or I say, if you have the full movement, but you're not ready for the weight aspect of adding weight to the movement, just do that movement without any weight. Okay. So you may not get all out of breath. You may not get sweaty. It may not feel super hard, but you're getting the proprioception, which is the mind-muscle connection and the awareness of moving your body in space so that you can build that coordination, balance, and proper movement, range of motion, and all those other aspects of fitness that we're trying to build. Okay, so understanding the target, but then also understanding where you are in your ability to move will always circumvent whatever the target of the workout is. Movement technique first every single time. Okay, something to keep in mind. All right, let's see here. What do we got next? Intensity. Okay, so when we talk about intensity, I talk about short workouts, long workouts, high intensity, low intensity. Something else to keep in mind is there's three different. We're only going to talk about two. Okay, there's rate of perceived exertion, and then there's relative intensity. Okay, so basically, rate of perceived exertion is how hard you feel like you're working. Okay. Many workouts are going to say this is let's for instance, give you a 15-minute workout that is jump ropes, burpees, and goblet squats, right? And I say, do 5 reps of each for 15 minutes. Okay. And I want you to maintain about an 85% effort for that work. That's work that is telling you that the amount of effort you feel like you are putting into it should be about an 80 to 90%. Okay. So if someone were to ask you, how hard did you work on a scale of 8 to 10 or 1 to 10, you would be like, that was an 8 or 9. Okay. That's rate of perceived exertion. How hard do you feel like you're working? Okay. Now that may mean you get 10 rounds in where someone else, their rate of perceived exertion allows them to get 15 rounds in because they may be better conditioned or stronger or whatever it may be. Okay. They're different than you. So you don't compare your performance to somebody else's. It's based on your subjective feeling about where you're at. Okay. That's different than relative intensity, or absolute and relative intensity, which is basically if you know that your maximum squat is 200 pounds, and I tell you that I want you to lift 80% of your maximum, then you know for a fact that 160 pounds is the weight that you're targeted to lift. Okay. Now, that weight is 80% relative to your absolute intensity. Your absolute is 200. Your relative intensity is that percentage. Now, it may feel like it's 100% rate of perceived exertion. That 80% of the weight may feel like 100% that day that you do it. If you had a bad night's sleep, you didn't eat enough, whatever it may be, you didn't get your electrolytes in, something may have happened that day. And even though it's 80% of your max, it may feel like 100%. You could also come in someday and be just pumped, and that 80% of your 1 rep max, right, that 160 pounds of 200, you may come in and it may feel like 40%. You may be like, oh my God, I just feel so jacked right now. This is nothing. Okay. And that's fine. But remember, do what the program says. If the program is saying they want you to do 80%, do 80%. Okay. Because what they're giving you is a hard number to gauge progress. Right. So if you go over that, and it's also about your recovery, they know that this workout is fitting within a larger program. And if you do more than that, let's say you come in on a day and you feel great, you do your 80% of the weight, all right, but you feel really great. Your rate of perceived exertion is low. I only felt like I worked at like a 6 out of 10. I could do more. And you throw on another 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 pounds and you do more reps at the heavier weight. Now you're at 85, 90, 95% of your weight. You're feeling good. You're trying it out. Then the workout the next day or the next day or the next day, you're going to be jacked up because you went outside the program. Okay. So always keep in mind, if it's giving you a specific relative or absolute intensity to work at, do it at that intensity, stay within the program. Your rate of perceived exertion will be completely different. Okay. As a beginner, your rate of perceived exertion is going to be higher for everything you do. As you get better, it will go down, while your absolute and relative intensities go up. Okay. As you move better, as you get stronger, as you improve your performance, as you get more endurance and stamina and balance, all those things about your fitness, as your overall fitness improves, things are going to feel easier while your performance gets better. Okay. At some point in time, you need to flip them again, right? You're going to get to a point where things are really easy. What do? Go heavier, go faster, find a more complicated movement to learn, whatever it may be, right? Your job as a progression, as a person who's trying to improve what their body can do, is to always make things harder for yourself, right? Because we can't get better if we don't do things to get better. Cool? That's how it is, right? As things are going to feel hard. When they start feeling easy, that's when you start needing to think about, oh, maybe I need to go a little heavier on this weight, or maybe I need to add a couple reps, or maybe I need to go a little faster, whatever it may be. Okay. Another thing to look at, this is when we talk about listening to your body and tracking trends, making sure that you're tracking your workouts. You've got to track your workouts. Okay. Don't just do your stuff and then chill out, right? You've got to write your workouts down. How much are you lifting? How fast are you lifting it? How far are you running? How fast are you running it? How much are you running? You've got to track your numbers. Just like the nutrition side, if you're not tracking, you're not trying. Okay. On the fitness side, if you're not tracking, you're not trying. You've got to have data. You can't change things willy-nilly. You got to know what you're changing and why you're changing it. Okay. So we have what's called your MRV, maximum recovery volume. Okay. What that basically says is it's the amount of work you can do to recover in a sufficient time to be able to do that work or more again. Okay. If I do a squat workout and recover, because the rest of the recovery period is where growth happens, muscle protein synthesis, cellular repair, improvement, supercompensation for that system, the squat system will get better. So usually 48, 72 hours, right? I come in, I go squat again. I should be able to perform if I did the exact same thing again 3 days later, I should be able to either do more reps or heavier weight. if I've given myself enough rest and I didn't overdo it in that session. If you overdo it in that session, and then it comes to the next time you have to squat and you're just like, man, my legs are sore, I can barely warm up, like this just doesn't feel right, then you know you overdid it. Okay. Or somewhere in between the last time you did that exercise and the next time you did that exercise, you didn't allow yourself the amount of rest that you needed in recovery. Okay. So the maximum recovery volume is how much work can you do to recover in an adequate time to do that work again. And it plays into making sure you're giving yourself enough time to recover. Recovery is part of your training program because your body's ability to recover is a trainable system. Okay. Just like you can train ketogenesis or gluconeogenesis or train your muscles and train your body to do things, right? Your body will get better at the things you train it to do. You can train your body to recover better by giving it time to recover. It's really easy to do. Just don't do those things. Okay. If I squat heavy one day, then I'm not going to squat heavy again for 2 or 3 days. That doesn't mean you don't squat because there's different variabilities. Maybe I squat heavy, but then 2 days later, I want to do some lunges or some air squats or some wall balls. So I'm squatting for lighter weight and it's more volume, but it's not heavy, right? And then another 2 days go by and then I squat again heavy, right? So there's 3 or 4 days in between those heavy lifts, right? So you've got to give yourself time to rest. So don't overdo it in any one session. And you can play around with that. Maybe one day you go in and you just crush it. And then you ask yourself, okay, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to not do anything like that again for 3 days. Can I do it again? If you can, then you know that amount of work you did those 3 days ago is within your MRV and you're good. You can maintain that probably. But if in between there, you've also got to understand, did you eat enough during your rest time? Did you sleep enough during your rest time? Did you get enough protein during your rest time? Are you getting electrolytes? Are you doing movement and keeping your body limber? So there's a bunch of other things in there that go into recovery. Again, you can train recovery. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, those are your tips, guys. Okay, understand the target, understand intensity, and make sure that you're matching your intensity to the program, with the caveat that your movement quality always comes first before intensity. So if you are a beginner, even if you're not a beginner, even if you've been doing this for 10 years and there's a movement in there that you've never done before, the intensity of that workout doesn't mean squat until you understand and you can execute that movement properly. So execution can be a level of intensity. The complexity of a skill is classified as a type of intensity. Okay. So it may not be a sweating. It may not be a strength. It may not be I'm straining so hard. It may just be I'm using my brain really hard to get my body to do what it needs to do. Because fitness includes physical components and central nervous system components. Okay, when we talk about technique, when we talk about proper movement, what we're talking about is brain and nervous system. That has to function first before you think about muscle and energy system. Okay, brain and nervous system come first, muscle and energy systems come second. All right, keep that in mind. All right, and then also remember that your maximum recovery volume is important. Don't overdo it in any one workout. Give yourself time to rest, and then make sure you're getting the rest in between the sessions that you need to get. All right, hope that's a good summary of all things recovery and getting the right level of intensity. Not too little. You wanna what's the baby bear it, whatever that is, right? You want to get it just right, okay? And then see your gains, guys. Doing that stuff is going to help you improve. You get more volume in, you get more training in without getting hurt, without overtraining. And remember, guys, if your training starts going down because you're tracking, if you're starting to notice a progression of less weight, less reps, feeling tired, feeling wore out, that just means you need more recovery and you need to readjust what you're doing, okay? Take it easy. Hope that was good for you. If you have any questions, please add them to the comments. Hope to see you guys around. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, please give me ideas on other topics that you would like to see. This stuff will only be in the members area, so you can always go back and reference it. And if you know anybody that's interested in this kind of stuff, share the link. Get some more members in here, guys. Let's grow this thing. All right. Take it easy. See you soon.